Yeah, we can
Actually, I'm
continue.
worried that you will upload it.
Yeah. Uh,
Hi,
yeah.
everyone. Hi, the last two people who are watching this, who are
Yeah.
still watching this, or
Yeah.
the people who mistakenly came to this video. Hi.
Yeah. We are continuing on like the effect of the family effect on the education and these kind of things. And I want to add one thing because I've seen the live
Hmm.
example where my uncle, like he's a kind of tall figure in in the educational sector, and he says it is very important for the kids. It is not just like he will be completing bachelor's or he or she will be completing bachelor's. He should give enough knowledge to sustain his life. For example, in previous generation,
Hmm.
one of the communities, most of the elders were farmers, and their land is passing to their sons, but they don't know how to use it, so they'll remain poor all the way along. So what he did was he forced them into education for almost like 10th, not just inter. Inter they had some problems, so they drop out. But they have knowledge not just to do farming, but on the side they are doing small businesses like food canteen maintenance, basically making a hotel and like providing some kind of functions. In that way, they are like getting some other income, which in their some people in their community is not getting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's not just education is for job purpose. They have to direct the education in such a way that they can sustain themselves if they stop educating. It's not like only after getting BTech you will be earning.
Hmm.
They should
Okay.
have an opportunity to earn even before that. If they drop out or if for some reason they cannot continue the education.
I think in this regard, there is an apprenticeship scheme where like educated people under the age of 25, they get minimum 1 to 2 years of training, like technical training, basically.
Like we have that right ITI after intermediate. They'll
Apprenticeship, huh?
it's not an
Like a kind
apprenticeship.
of
It's like
internship.
kind of internship. Yeah,
Yes.
Sushma, do you want to add on this?
Hmm.
No, nothing. Yeah, I agree. Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
I
another
Yes.
agree that. I mean, I understood that.
another thing was like
What I was saying.
I met this this like like in India, every caste will have a subcaste that will record the history of the caste and tell it as a story. I don't know across
Hmm.
India, but in Andhra there is a lot of such castes. So one of the caste was they migrated from Maharashtra and they settled in Andhra Pradesh, and they are like traveling kind of people. So, but they settled down in AP for almost 30 years, but they don't have any citizenship or anything.
Hmm.
They're just they are seen as travelers only. So that's why the government is not providing citizenship to them. Means any state is providing consider them as their people. We went to them and
Tarun?
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not aware of this. Um,
Yeah, means
we
that
have in our, yeah.
basically the kind of story that they're telling was they considered
Mm,
themselves like in Mahabharata, Arjuna once were
mm,
as a like a storyteller and went to his
mm,
mother to see if his mother recognizes him or not, and started telling
mm.
the story of
Okay.
Pandavas as a third person,
Okay.
and his
Okay.
mother didn't recognize him. So, catching that tradition, they are following that tradition basically. Like they call them as Kinneras. Means they'll tell the story of Mahabharata not in a Sanskritized way, but as a talkative Telugu language,
More vernacular language.
in a vernacular language. So if we went to them and we were asking, see, you know a lot of stories through your lineage, but if someone in your like community will be educated, they can document it, which will pass
Mm,
the knowledge to the future generations. Because you can see
yeah.
in 2 or 3 generations, no one will be learning that. No one will be knowing like
Mm,
this kind of art exists at all.
yeah, exactly. Mm,
So, but their argument was government, like any government, is not even recognizing them as like constant citizens, and they are not having
Mm.
any kind of documentation. So if we ask them to send their kids to schools, they are basically giving the
Mm.
same argument, like we have to
Mm.
invest so much into them. If we don't invest
Okay.
and send that kid to work, he can we can sustain the family. Sending him to school is not sustainable. Means the family cannot bear so much expenses. So my uncle took money from his pocket and started like taking 4 or 5 kids to the school, and
I
he's
think
doing
it,
out of his own, like
I think one thing that can be done from an administration standpoint is to like get a statistic of how many people, like how many such people are there in a certain state, so that the policies can be framed likewise. Like if there is a significant population of a certain community, then obviously like in the next few years they'll suffer more. Like let's say if the population is below, let's say 1 lakh for a population of 1 million. So I think it's still okay to let them go into the survival instinct and let their kids pick up some like hands-on skills so that they can get employed. But if there is a significant population, then yeah, definitely, like we can incentivize like one of the kids to go to school and the other can work. So at least one or two people in the family are
yeah, at
educated.
least we should show a path telling that your way of life will not be disturbed by this kind of by the education.
True.
Means they will
Mm.
not lose any significant amount of wealth that they are earning
Hmm.
through the education system, because in AP the education, I don't know, like Chaitanya, you tell me whether it exists or not, but parents here are like crazy about their kids education.
Hmm.
It's if they
Yeah.
can sustain,
Seriously. Mm.
they will do anything to get their kid educated.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
it's like kind of depressing to see the kind of education that they are getting in the school, despite the parents putting so much money and their effort into the system.
Mm.
Despite putting all the money,
Yeah, but it's
what?
it's like sometimes I see like parents spending 6 months of their salary for
Hmm.
fees only,
On the kids'
school fees,
education.
kids
Okay.
education.
Mm.
Hmm. And what were you saying?
But
Like the kids are not.
the kids are not earning, like basically the kids are not productive till 21 years, almost till they complete their bachelors.
Okay.
And putting 6 months of their work into education is not sustainable for 21 years. In some years they will break, they will have some
Mm.
health issue in the family or something.
Hmm.
In some year they will break, and then from that break they will not continue. Most of the people will not continue.
Hmm. Hmm.
So my thing was, at certain levels, like it should be gradation where you can go into the society and then get some work and earn something. It should not be like most, even we know, like without bachelors most of the people will not get any job.
Hmm.
Like, we don't see anyone getting jobs without bachelors.
But then obviously that is an administrative and legislative issue, right? Like you need to have some legislation to
I
back
think
that, something like Manrega or something, for example, which is for labor. Like you
Yeah, I
need to
think it
have
is a
some
kind
certain
of
policy.
uh,
Indian
yeah,
thing
yeah.
only. But when you go to America,
No,
right,
but
you see so
yeah,
many Indian people, like in the higher education,
I
like
have a
MITs, Harvard.
I have a different stand on this. I mean, yeah, as you said, like most of the people here are getting employed only after 21 years. But yeah, that's really something worrying because yeah, we see parents spending so much on our education. So what we can do is earn while you learn. Because a tenth standard student can teach something to seventh or eighth standard students. I mean, whatever the knowledge or whatever the skill they have, they can use it in some way and earn through that means. So, so that will give them some exposure, some
Yeah, but see that,
financial advantage also.
that is good in individual case. Let's say there are 60 students who are
Yeah.
moving into, like not all the 60 students can get, like it's not a pyramid scheme, like where there will be more students below below third class, like below one class. Like there are few
Mm.
students who can do that, but it is not
Mm.
efficient to sustain all the 60. That's not all, even majority also. Like if there are 60 who are
Okay.
going to a higher education, 5 or 6 can give tuitions. It's possible.
Mm.
But what about the rest of the 55?
I think, like I said, a good thing to do would be like to get a statistic of this. So because like it's an administrative and legislative issue, right? You need some legislation to guarantee that such and such employment will be available to everyone. And for that, you need to survey whether there is a good amount of population which is actually suffering. Because otherwise, like if there is a very limited amount of population, even like it may be concentrated in a certain region, like let's say 60% of the population that is suffering from this may be concentrated in a certain region, but for the entire state to have a policy on this, yeah, they need to have a significant number of people suffering this way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think if
I think
If Sushma becomes an enforcement officer, this is something for her to food for thought for her.
she will put
Yeah.
us in jail, and
Definitely.
then
To do some sort of census survey of the people, their issues, their educational status, etc., and then see whether some legislation can be passed to guarantee them
Yeah, hopefully.
employment. Yeah.
Hopefully she'll do.
hopefully she will not put us in jail before that, so that we can. Yeah, we beat this school problem to death. So coming to that central thing of education,
Yeah.
elections.
Election.
Election. It's okay.
Uh, one of the things that I am talking about was that majority representation. Like it's very specific
Mm.
to the kind of majority that we are talking to and the kind of societal values they have.
Mm.
I basically says that like democracy cannot be a representative thing, because you see there will be a lot of means even in our election system, caste will play a very majority role.
Mm.
Whether you like it or not, it may not give you power, but it plays a very significant role. So given that the majority, if you go to the legislation level, everyone says the caste is bad. Caste should not
Mm.
exist, or there should not be caste bad. You can see that on
Mm.
top level, but on the ground level, you see
Mm.
there will be a lot of consensus for this caste thing.
Yeah.
You see this in like many republic also. In Romans definitely did not call themselves democracy. They call themselves republics. The senators are not the representative of the people. They are the one
Mm.
hold the who hold the view that the community should go forward. Means their representative people should go forward. It
Mm.
need not be a majority approved thing.
Okay.
For example, that the thing that I said about the slavery, it is not approved by majority. But we
Yeah.
consider it to be good. But on
Mm.
but on what constitutional morality that they are saying
Mm.
at that time it is a good thing. There is no basis until they go to the fundamental rights, telling that all the humans will have equal value,
Mm.
which is not a moral thing, which is like a constitutional thing. So it's my opinion was the majority consensus itself is causing these troubles. See, if you read if you go on reading reading history, you will understand that the masses will always behave in a very evil fashion, whereas the individuals will not. You can see in in protests or in something, masses doing lot of very bad things that the individual will never do. Like if you give an individual a stone and ask him to throw it at some glass or some building, he will not do. But put that same person in a group and tell him to throw, he'll throw. Similarly,
Yeah, I
it
wanted to
happens.
add something. You talked about throwing stones now. So the Taliban government in Afghanistan has brought back the stone pelting thing.
Stone pelting, yeah.
Yeah, stoning, yeah.
Stoning, yeah. No, it's a majority consensus there. It's not
Yeah.
like Taliban is doing that.
No, I mean, they brought it back. They've, I think, legalized this or something. There was news in it.
It's not brought it back.
Added.
It exists in the rural areas, not just in Afghanistan. If you go from all
Mhm.
west, like from Syria to India, between all these lands, there exists in rural areas this stoning. It's just the government is not recognizing in some places. In some places, the government is recognizing it as a form of punishment.
Yes.
Sushma, your thoughts on it? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your thoughts on it?
Hello. Hello. So you're asking about how, like the majority opinion should not be, cannot be always moral.
Cannot be. I'm saying it is more possible to be immoral than moral.
Mm.
Because there are a lot of
Come
things
again.
that the individuals will not do and the
Mm.
masses will do, the majority will do. Like, for example, let's take the caste
what
system.
is Tarun, wait. So what is your argument? Like, what you're saying is the majoritarian rule, there should be representation of everyone and not necessarily the majoritarian rule, right?
It's not just
Is this what you're advocating?
no. The representation, it should not be representative. It should be like a person who is more of like a one who can take the society forward, not someone
Okay.
Okay. So
who
there
represent
should
the
be
will of
some.
the people. Yeah.
So there should not just be some eligibility on the representative, but also some, like, either educational or how aware
Educational
of
like
he is
background,
of his
yeah,
society's problems or something,
problems,
right?
and how
Okay.
he is willing to go because I'll tell you the
Mm.
concept also. Law will go against the
Okay.
majority, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is non-majoritarian. So similarly,
Dowry. Mm.
dowry.
Mm.
Dowry is supported by almost all the people in not in India, but in our
Mm.
place. But the law will reject
Mm.
it,
Hmm.
Yes.
which
Yes.
says
Agree.
that
Mm.
the law is not representing the majority.
Mm.
But the law is taking forward the society. It is addressing that
Yes. Mm.
the society there are immoralities in the society and the society accepts this and we should abolish it.
Mm.
And the
Okay. Mm.
legislature or the
I
representative
think
should have this
I
kind of
I
look.
want to add something to this. So
Mm.
I think the majoritarian view is not necessarily reflected by the legislature and the judiciary. Like, if you actually look at the cases that go in,
Mm.
they aren't necessarily reflective of what the situation is in the country.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that concerns and bothers me when, like, Western media particularly, they represent India as
Mm.
like a
Mm.
state where there is no law, right? Lawlessness exists and everyone is fighting and there's discrimination against Muslims, etc., etc. But that is not the case with law. The issue
Ah,
is that when you have corrupt law, like the law and the legislature is corrupted in that sense. Um, yeah, that is not the case in India. And hello,
yeah.
yeah, everyone's here. So yeah, so like there are certain sites that you can go to where you will see like the like whatever legislature that is being passed or being discussed, like the bills that are being put up, you can actually go through them, right? Which is why I think during elections, it's important to read the manifesto, particularly in these times. Like earlier, the manifestos used to be just 1 page, 2 page long, and that would be just some like random thing that they would say. Like,
Mm.
it would be very generic stuff. But these days in the
Yeah.
manifesto, you will see them like it's quite descriptive and very specific. And
Okay.
that is why I asked initially that, have you seen some of these policies being implemented or certain promises being made that possibly could have, led the people to vote in someone's favor? Like, the tricky thing with manifesto is there is no like it does not hold in court, right? You can't contest and be like, okay, you promised this and then now you have not delivered.
Yeah. You
So
cannot
that
hold
is an
that in court.
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an
Mm.
issue with manifesto, but still these days the parties are like they mention it quite descriptively in their manifesto. So yeah. So my point there was, you will actually see, if you look at the bills being passed or being discussed in parliament, the day they are being discussed, they are uploaded online. So there is a website called PRS, I think. I'll share the link
Mm.
if you like. So you can specifically go
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It's
read the
PRS.
PDF. Yeah, PRS. So you can,
PRS. There will be complete details about the bill.
yes. And the bill is
All the
actually,
nitty-gritties.
usually on an average, you will see that the bills are passed in 1 or 2 years' time. So like the bill has existed for 4 years, 3 to 4 years. In the fourth year, it is being discussed in the court as a bill. In the fifth or sixth year, it's passed as an act. Like usually, this is the process of passing the bill. So I think one thing is, okay, this is the issue with I think media and uh, the pseudo intellectual community basically. So like for example, you have two kinds of people. One who are involved in this government setup, who are involved either with the legislature or I mean like people who are either working for the government directly, state or central, or who are working for companies that work for these government agencies. Like for example, someone who works for TCS. So TCS was one of the companies who digitized this whole passport seva thing, right? Earlier,
Yeah.
getting a passport would be a like big something of big concern. It would take
Task.
months and months.
Mm,
Yeah, but
mm,
TCS kind of digitized this, and yeah, so someone who is involved with this has a different perspective. They know like what are the issues and also what is going on, like what actual work is going on behind the scenes, and like the results we'll see 4 or 5 years later, right? And
mm,
then what actually happens is the narrative is built around in such a way that we associate it with one person, like we associate Narendra Modi with as someone who brought all these changes, but it's actually a
mm,
gradual thing that has been happening. There have been a lot of people associated with it. So I think this is
mm,
a problem with the whole pseudo intellectual issue where like we all feel or we all think that we know things, but we don't. Like, so I think there has to be some like place for discussion about like these things for the common public, where at least like if we are interested, let's say for example, farmer bills was a big thing when I was in Noida,
mm,
right? So I actually went and read the bills, and I was like, it makes sense. I understand why these people are protesting. It's like basically this is the only one community, farmer community in India, which is rich, right? And you are rest
mm,
everywhere. The other places, why they aren't rich, why they are poor, because the state buys everything from them. The grains they buy directly
mm,
from the farmers. But here, actually, the quality is such that most of it is exported. For example, basmati rice, right?
mm,
Like for the rest
mm,
of the country, the same thing will cost like 100 or 150 per kg. But in Delhi, you will get it
mm,
for around 60 or something. And that is usually the staple that you get because it's so
mm.
widely grown there. So anyway, so these
Okay.
people, you're basically saying that, yeah, here we have a government infrastructure, mandi system basically,
Mm,
which is supposed to
mm,
give you a minimum price, MSP, so that no
mm,
matter what happens, you will get this price. So for example, a farmer who is spending, let's say he's spending, like has a budget of 5 lakhs. So in his mind, he has a certainty that no matter what, I'll get 6 lakhs. So I'll be at a profit of 1 lakh no matter what, right? As long as I procure this amount of grain. Like that is a math that he can run in his mind. But now you're saying that this mandi system doesn't will not exist because it's so corrupt, this
mm,
and that, whatever, and you are
mm.
uh, totally brushing off the liability from yourself and giving it to a private party, right?
Yeah.
And the argument is like private organizations, when they work, they have very high quality of this and that, and overall quality of service improves. But it actually ends up benefiting the private player, not the people at the bottom of the food chain. Like they end,
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, so my point
Okay.
was like there has to be some platform of for discussion about these things for the common public. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sushma,
Okay.
you were saying
Talking on
something?
that trend, I mean, yeah. See, nowadays, like many bills, they are keeping it open to the public. You know,
Hmm.
so people are now can give the feedback, and also there is one website that is mygov.in.
Hmm.
I don't remember it exactly, but there is also a website where we on ourselves can put our new ideas or thoughts directly. But there are bills which are open to the public as well for their feedbacks and opinions, and this is
Hmm.
done. I don't know like how far they rely on this information or not, but that is an welcome step. And we see that I think the BJP has even put the manifesto open to the public for their reviews and feedbacks. So that kind of things are going on. Of course, how the efficacy of that again is debatable. So such things can happen where we can have more transparency on that front. And secondly, and the discussion, this is one way of discussion, like taking opinion from very common citizen. Because why this is important? Because in the case of formulas, as you said, if that is one thing. But if they really want to bring something, the legislatures, I mean, the MLAs or MPs, whoever sits in the assembly or parliament, may not be knowing as much as a farmer who works on his farm. Okay. So, taking his opinion is very, very important. So, before taking any decision, I think there should be enough feedback directly from the farmers. This is one thing that can happen. And secondly, there are there is a kind of mechanism called parliamentary committees in our legislature setup, where they ideally should send most of the bills to these parliamentary committees, where these parliamentary committees are the committees which are not only having people from the government. So these parliamentary committees will be having people from the ruling party, from the opposition party, also some of the intellectuals and experts. So that is actually a nice platform where all kinds of opinions, irrespective of their party stand, comes into picture, and and they can make a better decision. So these are, but the thing is, the bills which have been sent to this parliamentary committees have been decreasing largely. For example, in the current Lok Sabha, we see only less than 20% of bills. I think the number is 16 or 17% of bills were only referred to parliamentary committees, and that too with a very minimal time of discussion, which is not good. So on these two fronts, if we do something better, then not just the opinion of the community, but as Tarun said, what is good for the community can be a part of discussion, and in that way we can make better discussions, and
Yeah,
we can.
I want to add something to what Chaitanya said about like specific community coming from. Sushma, do you know the source of all this problem? Why other
Which
farmers are
one?
not coming, but only farmers from specific
Mm.
community are coming, a specific state? What's the root
Okay,
root cause of
because they
all this
are
problem?
largely beneficiaries of the.
Yeah, go on, go on.
In the case of farmers, because they are the people who are largely beneficial from this MSP, because they own land much, and
Yeah,
their production
why
is
that land is producing so much?
because of the exploitation of the groundwater and the H5V seeds and all of this.
No, the sole culprit was MS Swaminathan, who bought Green Revolution basically. The see, the Punjab and Haryana area are not suitable for rice growth. Means rice should not be grown there.
Mm.
Rice is a food for only rice is stable food for almost like centuries for only South Indians. There are only two places this rice will grow naturally,
Tarun,
which is South.
hello.
Yeah.
Your voice was breaking. I mean, I could not hear you for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, rice
Can
was
you come
grown
again?
only in like two places historically. One was South India,
Mm. Okay.
south of India, and China.
Mm.
It's southern China, not even North China, southern China.
Okay.
But when in
Mm.
1960s, when Green Revolution came, it basically normalized everything. Basically, we can grow anything anywhere if we can get the products like the what you call the phosphates and these kind of things. So when rice was brought to Punjab, it basically like a big crop, because it can be exported, and also like it can be exported to almost all of India. So they started growing rice like crazy. And also the land is very fertile, so it started producing with the extra nutrients that the green revolution added, and farmers became so rich. And I've seen videos where they are making lassi in washing machine. They are just buying washing machines to make
What?
lassi. Yeah, washing machine, the drum will be mixing, right? Yeah, they'll pour
Oh,
curd in it and make lassi. So it becomes so it's basically this will trickle down here where they will be benefiting more from the kind of benefits that government is giving. And if you see map, right, see the cancer rates. You can see the area of Punjab, Haryana are like having one of the highest cancer rates because of this green revolution, because of the crops that should not be grown are grown there. See, if you go to Punjabi Dabas, you don't find rice. But why are they growing rice there?
mm.
Because of the revolution only. Historically, it is not a food, staple food for them. So you can write it as an introduction, basically say like, because of Swaminathan, we are facing all these issues. Yeah, Chaitanya, do you have anything to say?
Yes. Lot. I'm thinking what to say.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I
I
was
got doubt.
saying,
Like basically, if you go to Punjabi Dhaba, you don't get any rice item mostly.
you go to Punjab where?
Punjabi Dhabas.
Acha. Okay.
What is the rice item do you get? Means we know that historically, rice is not something that they consider to be a staple food.
Mm-hmm.
But you find rotis and this thing because the northern India is a wheat based this thing, and the
With
southern
cuisine,
India is
huh?
basically rice based.
Rice-based cuisine, huh?
So, but you are finding
Yeah,
basmati rice in Punjab and Haryana and these places.
I think see whether the after effects of Green Revolution is one thing. Like definitely there are the arguments made about it that a lot of the decisions that were enforced. There was one decision, the MSP thing also, 1.5 or something, C plus something
Yeah. Mm.
argument that they have. That is based on
Mm.
Swaminathan, like he
Formula
postulated
only.
that
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so there is argument regarding that, but I still think that the general idea is like the general idea is simply why can't the farmers be rich? Why do like why does a certain profession have to be poor? Let's say if someone's a cleaner, why
Mm.
do we expect them to have a certain income? That's the issue. Like on one hand, we always celebrate people who work extra to get paid more, but yeah,
Problem is
like
they are
if
not working
someone is
extra. That is the thing.
not extra, like the what they're growing is like they're growing it to export it, right?
See, it is a natural resources. Okay, it's not something that they are. It is not because of their intellect that they are getting the wealth. It's like
No,
if you
not
find
about
some
intent.
gold reserves. Okay, let's say if in some area you find gold reserves suddenly, then the
Lithium
people will
reserves
become
in
rich.
JNK,
Jammu and Kashmir.
Jammu.
Suddenly the
Lithium
people in that
reserves.
area will become rich, but they cannot
Okay.
sustain that wealth.
No, I don't agree with it completely. Like it's definitely what the thing that you said about sudden wealth, because there are a few examples like during Green Revolution and White Revolution, a lot of people were ordering washing machines to make lassi
Let's
basically.
see.
Yeah,
I was little
but still
shocked to see
like
that video.
so,
What are
but
they
it
mixing?
has it's been a long time. I think. No, my issue was like ki, yeah, like farmers, they don't necessarily have to be poor, basically.
No, I'm not saying the farmers necessarily have to be poor, but
Mm.
the soil that they are doing and the kind of it is kind of basically like, it is because of the government subsidies only they are growing that. The government will stop saying that okay, we are not going to subsidize the fertilizers and these kind of things. Then I'm pretty sure like it will drop down. Maybe it will not drop down to the level of the other country, like other parts of the country.
Mm.
It will drop down basically.
Mm.
Mm, mm, mm.
So it is kind of basically they are, it seems like they are exploiting the government the kind of relief that the government is giving for other parts of the country to them.
Okay.
Basically, we can put a lid basically saying that if
But
you are
that is a
getting
different thing. that's a different thing that you're saying. Like the state can borrow from the union
Hmm.
amounts for different things. Let's say for yeah, like for education, etc., etc. Even let's say people who study in IITs, they get certain. I mean, that is incentivized. The government pays off a certain amount, right? So for everything, the
But
state borrows from
but
the
the
from the
thing that I
center.
am saying was here the government is subsidizing the hard work or intellect of that person. If he is going into IIT, he clears an exam, and because of
But
clearing
it's
that
not
score,
necessary. It's not necessary that he will live in India, right? It's very
no,
much possible that he will yeah, the
and that's why
services he will offer.
yeah, that's why they are not putting any criteria. Here they are putting because
Hmm,
they are getting subsidy because of the land, which they
hmm.
might have got it through hard work or through generational wealth, right?
Not generational wealth. I'm talking of farmers specifically. I'm not saying like
Landlords or
yeah,
something.
someone is farming, right? If the kids are not farming, at least their grandparents are farming.
Yeah.
Still, that's
Yeah,
why
but that's to generational wealth
or
only, right? That's it. The kids
generational
are
wealth.
getting the
But yeah,
generational wealth.
they're getting the generational wealth, but they're still working, right?
Yeah,
Someone in
but
their family is
what
still
government is
working.
doing was basically, okay, you may not continue your grandfather's work, but we will be subsidizing this kind of fertilizers and grow the rice because because the country needs it.
But the wealth comes not from the wealth comes not because the government is buying it at a certain rate. It's because like they're exporting it.
Huh.
The quality of goods they are growing. That's what I meant to say. Like I'll give you an example. Okay, the difference that you feel with about the rice that you consume, right? A lot of perceptions or like what do you say? Whatever. A lot of things, a lot of views that are formed in our society are based off of something which we don't necessarily question. So, for example, rice, everyone knows don't eat, everyone says don't eat too much rice, you will feel sleepy, you will get bloated, blah, blah, blah. Right? I moved to Delhi. Before that, I used to eat like whatever normal rice you get like throughout the country. There are two or three staple kinds. Like there's one which is kind of like quite big and it's separate basically. Then there is one which is commonly available everywhere. Like we went to Guwahati, I had it there also. Here also I've had. So that rice, I feel that is the one which bloats you. That is the one which makes you feel sleepy, no matter how little you have of it, right? When I went to Delhi, I started having basmati rice. I wouldn't feel sleepy at all. The same thing I felt when I ate basmati rice in Guwahati. You could tell the difference, like even if you eat a huge quantity of rice. So my point here is a lot of these notions are formed also, let's say in some places there is this policy of don't go out late at night, otherwise something bad will happen to you, let's say after 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. And one thing you will see in general is alcohol or like these are usually not non dry states. You don't have these similar values in somewhere like Gujarat. But having lived in Gujarat for most of my formative years, I didn't understand what it means until I first came to Guwahati, like not during college, but before that. So when I walked out of the railway station, I could see like drunkards in the street late, like at around 9 or 10 in the
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
And the reason for that is
I
because,
just want to interrupt. There was only 1 minute
yeah,
left. Like, should we, Sushma, can we continue or are you sleeping?
good.
Yeah, we can continue. No, we can continue. I'm listening.
Okay. Then
Yes.
I'll send an invitation.
Yeah. So yeah, like when you see that this
Yeah,
alcohol is
Chaitanya will
as
continue in
easy.
the next thing because it might break
Okay.
in it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll send a link. Wait.